So yesterday it was reported that Hama city was taken by pro-Turkish rebel forces. Moreover, they continue their movement towards one of the biggest cities in Syria, Homs. While I'm recording this video, the fight is ongoing in the city outskirts. Russia tries to use their aviation base, Hmeimim, to attack the rebel forces, but it is not stopping rebels, so there is the high chance for Homs to fall in the coming days. Also, the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, said that the goal of the pro-Turkish rebel forces is to take this city and advance towards Damascus. And definitely if we check out this map, so this is Homs, and this is the capital city of Syria, Damascus. Well, you may say that the distance from Homs to Damascus is kind of long, and yes, I agree with you, but at the same time this distance is even shorter than rebels covered from Aleppo to reach Homs. And they did it for around 1 week, maybe just a little more. And also they had lots of the settlements, and settlements are actually good for resistance. But this area is mostly deserted place. So I guess that there is the possibility for rebels to advance even with the higher pace in this distance. Well, one more big thing, let's zoom into the place. If rebels capture the Homs city, it will be easy for them to cut this entire place from the Damascus supplies. And here we have the tourist port of the Russian Navy, plus the big air base Khmeimim of the Russian Air Force. Let's zoom into Tartus at first, so it is also a city, and here we have the port. Yes, it's kind of big, but Russia already removed their ships from this port, I mean military ships, because rebels may use the rocket artillery systems, Merch and Uragan, to target the Russian ships. If you go to the north from Tartus, you'll see the Russian military air base, and we have also the fresh images. So on Google you have the old image, but here is the fresh one with lots of the Russian military jets. So here you can see them parked on the apron. Those are the Russian Sukhoi 24 tactical bombers. Here is Sukhoi 24 fighter bomber, some of the fighters in this place, and here are Sukhoi 25 attack airplanes. This is what they used to demolish Syrian cities and settlements and also rebel forces sometimes. It's interesting photo here because it filmed this airplane. This is the Sukhoi 24 tactical bomber, and the shot was taken while this bomber was stopping on the runway. And on the right from this airplane you see Illusion 18. It could be a surveillance airplane and also transport airplane. Here you can see the Russian helicopter. But the main parking spot for the Russian helicopters is this one. So they still have some of the K-52 attack helicopters based in Khmeimim, and they were in use today. So Russia is using their attack helicopters not just in Ukrainian front lines, but also in Syria. And what is here? Maybe rocket artillery systems in Campaniers? Well, overall the runway here is very long, and here you also may see Illusion 76 airplanes parked on the main taxiway, which also may play the role of the runway. It was the runway before actually, but was blocked by those airplanes. So the main runway is 35 left. It is also the main military hub for the Russian Federation to send their forces to Africa, like Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. So potentially Russia may use this very crucial hub for their armed forces. So in the way they will lose their military influence in the Middle East and Africa. It is not just profitable for Turkey, which now expands its influence via the rebel forces, but also very good for France because it's the main competitor with Russia in the military influence of African region. Well, the main issue for the rebel forces is now to cross those mountains to go to Tartus or to Khmeimim air base. Let's go to the 3D map here. I'll put it like that. So the mountains here are quite high, as you may see. There are just few roads like we see over here, which may lead to the top, and that is how you may cross the mountain range. But still, this road is very, very twisty, and it will be impossible to maneuver there with long trailers, for example, with tanks. So the only way to go there is to use light armored vehicles or no armored vehicles. Also, Assad army together with the Russians may ambush rebel convoys on their way because it's very easy to organize those kind of ambushments in the mountainous environment. So in a way, this geographic mountains wall really protects the Russian air base and also the Russian Navy base. As you know, rebels are already controlling this plateau, but they need to cross the mountains for the further advancement. But if they advance to Homs, if they take this city under control, there'll be just small gap for them to cover to cut this entire region, and it will fall after all into the rebels' hands even without them crossing those mountains. You see, Russia cannot sustain this region on their own. Russia still needs the Syrian militants and Syrian forces to operate those military bases. And with just a couple of the cities left, it will be hard from the economical point of view to maintain this part of the land under their control for a long time. But relatively this time could be long, so maybe for the rebel forces it will be more profitable to continue their way towards Damascus, where they have more chances to get rid of Assad. Because of that, the Homs city is very decisive. It's crucial. It gives two opportunities for the rebel armed forces to cut this region and to continue the way to Damascus, which they may achieve simultaneously. Yesterday, Tucker Carlson published a video of the interview of Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of the Russian Federation. They've touched many of the topics. Lavrov didn't dig into the history, the bullshit history which Putin spelled the last time. I'm gonna refer to this interview many times throughout this video, my friends, because it is very important to know the position of the Russian Federation around Ukraine and also around Syria. So there was the question asked about Syria. By the way, the question was direct from Tucker, but Lavrov avoided it. Lavrov didn't condemn the actions of Turkey, which escalated really the situation in Syria, because those rebels are pro-Turkish, really backed by Turkey, because we know that they've been supplied by some of the weapons to perform their current actions. At the same time, Lavrov said that he hopes that there will be the diplomatic way to resolve the current situation in Syria. He said about a possible meeting in Doha with Turkish and Russian sides presented. But as we know, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkish president, thinks the other way. He wants rebels to advance to Damascus and to get rid of the Syrian regime. Here, Russia obviously loses Syria and their influence, not just in Middle East, but in Africa. What is also interesting that Russia cannot hold it any longer. They cannot resolve this puzzle. They see how the Assad regime is just fading away, not just because of the rebels, but because of the situation in the economy of the country or humanitarian situation altogether. Because of that, local resistance start to rise. By the way, guys, if you want to support the job that I do on YouTube, you might also do it on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page I'll put just in the video description below. Thank you so much for supporting my motivation. This is the very south of Syria, not far away from the Israeli border. As you see, there are many of the local resistance groups. They are uprising. Syrian army tries to hit them hard, also involving the Russian Air Force, but it doesn't work. And as it is reported right now, there is the breakthrough of the National Syrian Army, which is backed by the United States of America, towards Palmyra. Palmyra is the historical city, the pearl of Syria, and the control under it was established by the Syrian Assad regime only with the help of the Russian armed forces. They bombed this city a lot as well. But now it can fall into the other hands. The Syrian Defense Forces, Kurds, which are also backed up by the United States of America, went on their own attack in Deir ez-Zor province and established control over some of the settlements. They crossed the Euphrates River, which was the previous border between them and the Assad regime. And probably now they are trying to gather their forces for the defense of the capital city, Damascus. This Russian helicopter K-52 was filmed today in Syria, as well as the Russian Mi-8 transport helicopter. Later on, the K-52 helicopter was spotted firing some of the missiles, but it is not that effective even compared to artillery. Well, yesterday and today, the Russian aviation tried to hit the viaduct, basically the road across this valley, which is connecting Hama and Homs. They've used some of the aviation bombs for that, but their strikes were not successful. Like, they've damaged this road, really, but were not able to destroy it. This is some sort of the guy showing the damage done, and it looks like the big hole, really. But the vehicle still might cross this passage, so even if Russia destroys this viaduct right now, like in the coming hours, it is already too late because the rebel forces advanced with their major forces and they're very close to Homs. So Russia lost the critical time where they might have used their aviation to kaput this connection. And those are not just my words. The Russian military jet bloggers are saying about the same stuff, that aviation of the Russian army hasn't been in use yet in a proper way. On this video, we may see how Russia evacuates the S-300